Welcome to episode 1 of Ducky's Dead Malls, where we explore dead and dying malls on the Canadian West Coast. We're starting off with the mall that I grew up going to, Haney Place Mall in Maple Ridge. And Haney Place is nestled in the city's downtown, closely surrounded by a theater, leisure center, news center, major bus loop, library, and government offices. So how does a mall so in the center of action become so lacking in action? Let's take a walk through Haney Place and see its current state and talk about how this mall got to where it is. We are starting here at the Walmart entrance, technically the only remaining anchor here, and you'll see what I mean by that pretty soon. We got our first vacancy greeting us right as we enter with what used to be a Black Bond Books, and then subsequently a variety gift store, and now a dark, empty room. In terms of Haney Place's history though, it was built in the 80s as a part of plans to establish a main street here in Maple Ridge. The hope was that it would fulfill core community needs like a pharmacy and grocery store, but it ended up backfiring a bit as its mall's nature as a mall is to have everything you need in one place, preventing people from walking the rest of the main street, which is a bit ironic considering its state now, but we're approaching what remains of the food court here, and this has always been the busiest part of the mall, so when I noticed restaurants here start to board up, I had a bad feeling about the direction for this mall. And it started with the Dairy Queen / Orange Julius that was just on our right there. Sad but not surprising, as I see them often being the first to run when a mall gets slow. But as you can see, there's a total of 6 restaurant plots, and currently the mall sits with only 2 open. And I'm not sure how long that'll last, with the Subway having a sign posted on the drink machine that you have to pay for ice. Not quite the standard here, where water is practically free. And I just want to note that we are coming up on our right side, the new Urgent Care Center, and this used to be a handful of different stores, including, as far as I remember, Ardene's and Payless Shoes. These empty lots were turned into a vaccination center and urgent care clinic during the pandemic, and these lots are no longer accessible from inside the mall, which is a bit scary in terms of a mall, but it does fulfill a critical need in our community at this time. But so when did this big change start in Haney Place? And I would say it's just around we lost Target in Canada. Where Walmart currently sits was Haney Place's fixture anchor, pretty much since opening. And Zellers had gone out of business in the 2010s and left Haney Place in 2011, and this was a huge blow, but pretty soon after closing, Target did announce that they're coming in, which was a huge big deal for Canadians, not only having a Target, but also having a Target here in the small town of Maple Ridge. And look at the Purdy's on our left here, by the way. Like, what is a dead mall without a Purdy's? But around this time, Haney Place had changed hands, having been bought by SmartRite from Norland Properties. And SmartRite held onto Haney Place for 6 years before it changed hands after it was acquired by Lorval Development. And during the 6 years, Haney Place had hemorrhage tenants, including stores like Kin's Market, which we were just looking at there, Ardene's, and the aforementioned Black Bond Books. But most importantly, their anchor at the other end of the mall, which was Thrifty Foods. This anchor spot has remained empty up until this month. And this area that we're entering now actually has some of the hardiest tenants here. I think everyone before we reach the stairs up ahead has been here since maybe before I've been sentient. But yeah, so anyways, what led to the big tenant reckoning? Can we blame SmartRite? Is it something else? There's of course the usual dead mall factors being online shopping and lockdowns, but downtown Maple Ridge has suffered, especially since the Vancouver Olympics street sweep of homeless people on our equivalent of Skid Row. A huge spike of mental health, drug abuse, and homelessness issues, and this has made the average Joe a bit weary of spending time in the area, and mall-goers often opt to ride the bus in the opposite direction and head up to Fulham Center instead. I feel suspicious, though, that this newest round of tenant evacuation is a bit more complicated. Now, let me interrupt real quick to take a look to our left at the ghost of Canada's equivalent to Radio Shack. Voila, the Source. Surprisingly, the Source is technically not out of business. There's still a handful open just around the Metro Vancouver area. This one, however, did die in the latest group of tenants leaving. The lights are still on back there, which means it's pretty recent. And look at the ghost of the Source sign as we look up here. But yeah, so all this brings me to who I suspect for being the reason for said tenant evacuation. After Lorval Development's acquisition is when I really noticed this mall start to die, and interestingly enough, when they did acquire the mall, their manager of acquisitions and leasing, Mr. Gorky Rai, was interviewed by the Maple Ridge News. And in this interview, he is quoted as saying, "We have to make sure that they, in brackets the tenants, are taken care of and have an operating mall." He also noted that Lorval is planning to redevelop the mall, particularly pointing out that their zoning would allow for multi-use residential to be built on top of the mall. So what I'm speculating, and I would like to make it clear that I'm just speculating, because I cannot afford a lawyer, is that Lorval is not renewing leases or is hiking up rent to clear out the mall for redevelopment. As we leave this image of a very expensive house, which is pretty standard of just Canada in general, I feel, take a look at this kid ride of Stuart Little. Like, what? Why is he here? Like, he's so adorable. I think he's so freaking cute. My boyfriend hates it, but I think he is so adorable. And then also these amazing signs in the Haney Place Insurance to our right here. Just these beautiful antique gas signs. Like, wow, that is just so cool. And what? Okay, anyways. You might ask why I would pick such a subjectively mundane mall for my first ever episode. Why not start with something creepy like the one mall under an apartment complex in Burquitlam, or something beautiful and neon like International Village? I will eventually get to those. But Haney Place is just the kind of place where it just has such an uncertain future that I will almost surely come back to film it, so we can all see its fate, whether it shutters completely, gets torn down, or built upon. I think this very second is a turning point for this mall, and it's important to capture it now. Or at least now-ish, because I did come back 3 times to film here because I was not satisfied with this or that in the footage. And as we're looking at the directory here, this is definitely not up to date. A lot of stuff that is no longer here. But as we leave the directory, it will come up to be what used to be their secondary anchor, Thrifty Foods, and you can even still see the sticker on the door there, and it has suffered the sick, twisted fate of many empty anchors out there, but at least it made for this bonus footage that you're about to see.
Look at this scary guy.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, don't lunge at me, mister. He scared me for real.
So yeah, that's Haney Place as of summer of 2023. Thank you for joining me on this walkthrough, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please toss me a like and subscribe. If you have any memories of Haney Place or any suggestions for the future for different malls we could visit, leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.